Hey everybody out there in YouTube land, this is Mike with Home Team Handyman Service, and today we're going to be changing out an electric hot water heater. The one that we're working on right now seems to be leaking through the foundation from the inside because there's two water heaters under here. The one on the left seems to be the one that's leaking, and it is pushing water out the foundation and onto this pad right here. But what we're going to be doing is I'm going to show you why it's leaking, which is a very common issue. A lot of plumbers will give you an option either to put a pan up underneath the water heater in order to separate it from the existing flooring, but it is an option. Sometimes they put them in, sometimes they don't. I do require that it gets put in, that a pan gets put in on all my hot water heaters, just to let everybody know. So I'm going to show you what's going on up underneath the crawl space. All right, so we got the water heater. What's up underneath my house is in the crawl space, so they're going to be really short water heaters. So this one is a 38-gallon water heater, electric of course, because that's what's feeding my water heater currently, is 38-gallon electric. A.O. Smith seems to be a pretty good product. It's got decent reviews on it. Of course, I'll check back in about a year or so and let you guys know how it's actually been working. So you're looking at about 32 inches tall to fit up under my crawl space, 23 inches wide for about 2 to 3 people. Now in my home, I've got a mother-in-law suite, which is, that I rent out on that section. And then we have the main section, which is a 2-bedroom, 2.5 bath, which this water heater will be feeding. So that's 2 to 3 people inside of here, and I just have one person inside of here. So with the 2 water heaters underneath here, I'm going to be changing out the one that feeds the main house, which is on the left side over here if you're facing on the outside. And then the one on the right is starting to rust a little bit because it's sitting on top of concrete as well. But eventually I'm going to change that out to an on-demand system so that it just feeds this 1 or 2 people that'll be living in this in the mother-in-law suite. Currently there's only one, and these little on-demand hot water systems seem to work pretty good for something like that. So anyway, these are the basic tools that you're going to need. We've got a couple of crescent wrenches because everything that's up under there right now is all compression fitting. I don't have to cut anything, which is good. We're also going to need a flat tip screwdriver, a Phillips screwdriver, and a headlamp. I happen to love this headlamp. I mean, it's really awesome. It's fed by 4 AAA batteries. It's called the Tactical Headlamp, and that's the name of the company, I guess. Let's see if we could see a brand name anywhere. But I ordered it online through I think it was a Facebook ad, which I don't recommend people do, but it's an LED headlamp, and it's made by Tactical Headgear, I guess, Tactical Headlamp. Anyway, long story short, it's got 3 different settings on it, including a red lamp on it. So, and it's also adjustable. The beam can actually be adjusted finer. So that's why I like it. Anyway, we're going to get started taking this thing apart and then prepping to remove the other one. Okay, a couple more things that I got as well is basically a voltage tester. This is a pen, little power button. Some of them come with special features like a flashlight on it, or different sounds. You could turn off the sound, so on and so forth. This one you could just turn off the sound if you choose to by pushing the button twice and what have you. It's pretty simple. You just hold it like this until it turns on, and then just wave it, over the area that has power. So I'm going to use this to check to make sure that the power is completely turned off to the water heater. There are 2 of them, and I did turn off the water heater, the breakers on both boxes in the house. So you're also going to need a pan. Now, on a 38-gallon electric water heater, it's about 32 inches tall. Don't know if you could read that, and 23 inches wide. So what I want to do is I want to make sure that this thing sits inside of a pan, because that's going to separate it from the concrete, and it's going to keep it from rusting, and that's what I want. So I bought this 24-inch pan because I've got a 23-inch wide water heater, And it's just plastic. It was only like $9, $9 or $10, pretty cheap, made by Eastman. But that's really all you need in order to separate the water tank from the concrete that's sitting on right now. If it's sitting on wood, I mean, that's okay. But then again, it's sitting on wood, and if it does leak, it will leak all over your floor. So you have one of these pans which has an attachable drain, and you could run a drain line from this hole right here. This goes on the opposite side like so, and then you could run a PVC drain line, you know, outside of your home. So if you live in a second story, this won't flooding won't be a problem. This will handle, you know, even though it looks cheap, it'll handle some water. All right, so I guess getting ready to go up under this house. Okay, so we're up under the crawl space, and as you can see, we have 2 water heaters. One was put in a little bit earlier than the other one, but this is the one that's leaking. And the reason why it's leaking is, if you see right there, it's sitting directly on top of concrete. Okay, and it has rusted out the bottom of the water heater when it was originally put in. So I'm going to be changing out the water heater, as well as a few fittings up here up on the top. This is a 3/4 inch supply line that comes up under here, which is typical. Sometimes you'll see a 1 inch, but in this case, this is a 3/4 inch supply line going to my water heater. So I will be showing you how to replace the water heater in just a moment. Okay, so one of the first things you want to do is to make sure that you are turning on all the faucets in your house. What that does is it allows the air to seep back through backwards in through your line and help push some of this water out of the bottom of your water heater. So we just quite simply lift it up, hot, cold. I've already done this. I'm just showing you guys real quick. And then of course I'll go over here to where my panel box is, and I'll find the water heater. You just got a tag on here, or it's listed on inside of the door. So you go over here, flip that switch, and now the water heater is off. So I don't know if you guys can see that, but we've got a lot of rust coming out of that water heater on this hose that I attached to the bottom of the water heater, and I'm going to show you that in a second as to how I prepared to get this whole thing done. Okay, so now we're up under the house. This sucks. But anyway, in order to get started here, in the very beginning, we located the spigot valve right here so that we could connect a hose to it. This is a drain hose that goes all the way outside, usually downhill, so that it'll drain. You'll take a flat tip screwdriver and you'll open up this valve right here all the way to the left till it opens up completely. Then of course you go outside and you check to see if you're getting any draining. Sometimes you can hear it draining, but if you don't hear it at all, go outside and check to see if it is draining. And if it isn't, then all you do is leave it open, disconnect your hose. Okay, this one's completely drained right now, but while leaving the tap open, I'll go ahead and stick me a screwdriver in here and just kind of wiggle it around, and you'll be able to loosen up sediment and what have you. If it starts coming out real fast, of course, you know, shut it off real quick. Always keep you a towel, you know, something up underneath there. But anyway, so this is open. It's been draining for a while, so I'm good to go on that. Looks like it's completely drained out. One thing to note when you are reinstalling these water heaters is to always face these little openings right here. Basically what's behind here is access to the elements, just in case the elements need to be changed instead of the whole water heater. So I've got 2. This is a double element water heater, so I purchased the same one that goes back in here. And other than that, you know, shut off the water, or opened up the water supply here, but shut it off at the street. That really only requires a pair of channel locks, you know, unless you have one of those keys that go down inside the box. But I wanted to make sure that all the water was completely drained out of here before I started attempting this. And it's pretty easy. Basically, this one has compression fittings that are easy to disassemble and then reassemble on both of these. So, and this is my electrical supply line that goes into the top of the water heater. So you want to check after you've turned off all the power, you want to check it to make sure that you have no, it would be beeping right now and a red light would come on next to that green one. The green one will shut off and the red one will come on if there's power to it, and there's not. There's no power to it. So we're good to go on that. We can put that away. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and start taking these couplings apart, and then I'll get right back to you. Okay, so we're up under here, and this sucks. I'm going to tell you that. Basically, I've already removed the old water heater. It was a pain in the butt because there's a joist right up under here that they actually cut out in order for the hot water heater to fit into that hole. It's just not high enough from the ground to the bottom in order to stick it in properly. So they actually put a support here and a support over in here to hold up the floor joist in between, which is a good thing. But now I have to get this new water heater back in the hole. And it's pretty simple pulling it out, but this water heater is 1 inch taller than the other one. So I have no idea how this is going to work, but I'm going to start with a few measurements, see if I can make it work, and so on and so forth. Just bear with me. Okay, so I got 36 inches, 35 inches to the lowest point. So I should be able to get this thing in here, theoretically. First thing I want to do is put down this pan that I bought. That's to protect the water heater at the bottom so it doesn't rust out. And of course I'm going to put the hole facing, well, can't really see it, but I'm going to put the hole facing back down in here because it was running out basically some weep holes underneath between the foundation and the concrete slab that's down here. This used to be a garage, a 2-car garage, and they decided to close it in and turn it into a mother-in-law suite. So anyway, here we go. So I'll put the hole on the pan towards the back, like so. I'm going to need to get it into a position so I can weasel this thing in here. This is going to be a pain. Let's see here. Put that there. Okay, so we'll bring the new water heater in. Making sure I've got all obstructions out of the way here. Okay. Now, here we go. This pan. Put the pan down here. Okay. Now I've got to stand this bad boy up like so. Squeeze it in the hole. Okay. Well, I'll be damned. That wasn't as hard as I thought it'd be. All right, so, woo! All right, so I can get to my connections. Okay, so I'm gonna turn everything so that I can get to the heater elements. You got one in the upper, one in the lower. These control. Basically, we'll make sure your water hot inside the water heater. You got your vent valve right here on the side, and then down here is where the spigot is to connect your hose. Before you hook up that, you want to take your flat tip screwdriver. I said I want to take my flat tip screwdriver. Anyway, she's around here somewhere. There she is. Okay. So, anyway, there is a little valve right here. Right here. So you just stick your screwdriver in that hole. Turn it to the right. It should already be closed from the factory, but you want to make sure that it's closed. So that's good. Alright, so now that I've got it in the hole, I'm going to need to make my connections. So here's my wire. Okay, this, if it'll stay, will help me with all my connections and stuff. So I had to go out and get 2 of these 3/4 connectors. They're both female on each end. They're flexible. They don't sell these with the water heater. You have to get them secondary. I'm like, what? So anyway, you have to buy these extra. So I'm going to go ahead and make my connections for all my electric and my water. But you can hook up the electric and the water all at the same time. Just make sure you don't turn on the electric until this bad boy is completely full, and I'll show you how to do that, how to check for that, make sure it's completely full once we get to this point. So the good thing about it is we have a rubber bushing on the inside of here. So that's a compression fitting. You got one in each end. So you don't need to put tape on it. So I'll just screw them in place. Make sure it's not binding up at all. Okay, that's one. We'll bend it so when I set it, ugh. So when I set it back into place, it won't hit this joist and end up breaking the line or pinching the line. Your water heater is probably going to be a lot easier than this. I had to go and buy a house that was built in the 70s. All right, now since I've got such a low crawl space, I'm gonna have to make the electrical connection. So originally the wire were they have a black wire, a white wire, and then there's a ground wire that goes to a screw up under here. So I'm going to take the ground wire loose of the old, this is the old connector, into the top of the old water heater. I just want to get rid of this thing. Because I've got a brand new plate on the new water heater, so I don't need this. Basically, you want this piece right here. It's in the top. See if you can see that. And this clamps onto the wire, but it's also threaded through the bottom, and it has a little nut on it. Okay, you want to take that off. You want to keep this piece. Okay, so I've kept the piece that's on the wire, the metal piece, because this will screw back onto that plate, on the new plate that I've got right here. Okay, so I will take off the new plate. Okay, now I'm going to take this electrical line. This is my new plate. It's got a hole in it already. Slide my wires through there. Going to reconnect my nut. Okay, got that nice and tight. Then I've got some wire nuts over here. Okay, there's supposed to be a ground screw on here somewhere. Where? Oh, ground screw is actually located inside of here, right on the top, as opposed to this old plate had one right there. So we're throwing that away, and we're just going to connect the ground, which is your copper wire. You see that? It's your copper wire. That's your ground. On the old water heater, it was connected wire. As far as the wires are concerned, it was connected black to black, and then red to white. Okay, black to black, red to white. Always make sure that when you're taking it apart, the old one, that you look at the wires and see how they're connected. Kind of keep that in your head. Things you have to do when your crew members lose tools. This is crazy. Oh, and don't loan out your tools to your neighbors either. Friends, whatever. Bob, you still owe me a pair of channel locks, you know, the smaller ones? Thank you. Okay, so I'll take out this ground screw, push it through the loop that's already on this one that's already made, push it through the loop, reconnect it. Okay, making sure that's good and tight. Okay, so black wire. Let's go ahead and push it down in here so it's not having to deal with that later. Okay, take the two, put them together. Put your wire nut back on. Making sure that's good and tight, and then pull on your wires, see if they come apart. If they don't, then that means you got a good connection. Okay. I hope we're recording. Yep, we are. Okay. Okay, so put red to white, which is the way it was before. Keeping my wires together. Get that wire nut on there good and tight. Okay. Then you just kind of fold your wires back into the hole. Like so. Like so. Bend that. There we go. And now your other one on the other side of this water heater. I'm just going to loosen it up a little bit. Might have to take it all the way off. I don't know yet. But just so I can spin it. And lock these in place. Alrighty. All right. Whew. Okay. That's all done. I've got my water connections. I'm going to kind of bend these so they don't get crinkled or crimped, whatever the proper terminology is. When I go to set this thing back down in the pan. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay. She's back in the pan. Now, don't have a lot of room in order to change out these connections because looks like I'm hitting. I can just get that turned maybe slightly like that. Turn that like that. Get it back under there. There we go. Now we're cooking with Crisco, as my parents used to always say. Okay, so this will be a simple connection here. I just have to do a little bit of bending and snaking. What the hell was that? Now you don't want to crank down on these things too hard because these things will crack if you try to over tighten. So you just need enough to be able to tighten her up. Let's take this out of the way. Put that back in there. Okay. Then I need the copper pipe. Okay. So I've got a copper pipe that has to slide into this pipe right here and make an extension because I don't have enough here to make it over there. So I'm going to set it up like it was before with this piece of pipe that they so nicely left me. So it's threaded on one end. It's got a flare on it too. I don't know if you can see that. It's got a little flare on it. That's just what they did. So what I need to do is I need to add some thread tape to this particular point here, making sure that this is all cleaned off as best as I can get it. Get some of this old tape off. Anything that might be in the grooves. Okay. Feels pretty clean. Take that and you want to wrap it the same way that you're twisting on the nut. So righty-tighty. So that's the way I'm going to spin the tape. Okay, clockwise. Here we go. Okay, so clockwise. I put it on there, hold it with my thumb, wrap it real good time, one good time, till it's tight, and then go about 4 or 5 times. One more. Yeah, we'll go one more for good measure, because I'm feeling spunky. Okay, so threaded in my piece of pipe, my extra piece of pipe that was here already, in order to make an extension to this point so I can make my connection. Put on some thread tape on top of here so it doesn't leak. It's basically a form of a compression fitting that they already have. So wrapping it with tape is going to give me a little extra redundancy. And I just got to make my connection now. So I've already connected the hot side. Now I'm going to connect the cold side. Alright, so I'm just rethreading in this line. Tighten her up somehow. Let's see if I can do it here. Friends don't mean a thing. Give you a little close up. Basically, let me get that out of there. Okay, so this is my supply line. Where's my finger? Ooh, Got a little insulation, a little dirt on the fingernails. Okay, so anyway, that's my supply line. I've turned on the supply now because I've connected this pipe, which was the old one that I had to remove in order to be able to remove this water heater. So I made my connection there with a compression fitting, and also there with a compression fitting. These are all flexible lines, okay? These are the best things to get, is a good flexible line. You don't want to put any kinks in it if at all possible. You want to try to make it as straight as you can. Oh, maybe bend it up like it's right there. Okay, so you know, that way it's as straight as you can get it. Gotta let turn all of your faucets on. Make sure the hot is on full until this thing runs solid for 3 minutes. I'm sorry, 3 minutes is what you're gonna need. So as it fills up, it's gonna make that hissing sound. Once it starts to fill up the water heater, that of course will stop spitting and turn into a solid stream of water. All right, guys, so the water heater is filled up completely. I waited about 30 minutes or so, and then it after the lines were completely clear, it quit spitting, you know, coming out of the hot water side on all my faucets. So we're good to go. So I'm going to go ahead and turn on the power. Like I said, it needs to run for about 3 minutes on hot, you know, to make sure that the water heater is completely full at that point. And then you can turn on the power. So we're good to go. And, you know, if you guys like these videos, I'll keep making them. You know, it's kind of up to you. Like and subscribe, you know the deal. So anyway, have a great day, and I'll see you on the next one.